Hello to all my dear friends. I am Behrouz Bigham. Today is the 5th session of the Lumion Graph Package, and we are at your service. In this session, we will familiarize ourselves with the main material section and the overall concepts of material creation. In previous sessions, you learned that we can use Lumion's library of ready-made materials. We also explained that every segment must be prepared separately in the Max software, with material separation, or we could perform this automatically using the Material Scan Inverter option in the Lumion Exporter plugin. After performing those steps, the separation was complete, and now I can select each section and apply my desired material. For instance, I have applied this material. Let's start with the first section and see what the options are. The first option is color. You see that we currently don't have access to it if a texture is in use. If I put a black color here, where it is usually white, we will have a color section and a texture section. Since we are currently using a texture and have loaded it, if I fade the texture or reduce its intensity, it appears to blend with the color above it. So if you want to create a specific tint, for example in a new project, I wanted to achieve a cement with a certain tint, we can combine these two until we get the exact color we want. We can easily do this. From this section, we can apply a separate color, a separate texture, or combine the two. If you only want color, set the texture intensity to 0. If you only want a texture, set it to 100. The next option is the placement of the texture and pattern on our model, which we know is UVW mapping. We can control it through this option. You can adjust its overall scale. Also in the UV coordinates section, you can set it. It doesn't offset on the x-axis, but you can offset it on the y and z axes. It seems the x and y axes are inverted here. Also, with heading, you can rotate it, and with pitch, you can rotate it, and with heading, you can move it. So you can easily change the texture placement from here. I will close this section. The next option is relief, which is the simulated bumpiness applied via a map. Let me give you an overview of materials. For material creation, keep in mind two main material styles, the old method and the new method. In Lumion, most materials usually work with the new method. Therefore, consider the PBR physically based rendering, or metalness roughness style that we learned in other render engines, like Corona. Here we no longer deal with the glossiness option, we use the roughness option, which is better and more common. You can see that in most archives, roughness is used instead of glossiness. And you can apply it from here. If we consider every material as a core material, it consists of several very important properties. One of these properties is the material's core texture, which is identifiable by the names diffuse, albedo, or color in various render engines. The diffuse map, which is written here as texture, is the core texture of your material. If you want to use cement, you must input the cement photo into the diffuse section or the texture section. Lumion's ready-made materials do exactly this. The next property, which comes after defining the core material and setting the placement UVW map, is relief. Relief is the same as bump and is distinguishable by the names normal map, relief, and bump. What is the function of bump and relief? It creates a subtle surface detail on our object. Look at how much it affects certain details. It influences areas by several centimeters. This section works according to the map. The blue areas in the normal map seem to multiply the relief. If we look closely, the relief is very high now. If I zero it out, the bumpiness disappears. Therefore, in some materials, we definitely need this relief. The next section is roughness. Before roughness, our next important property is reflection. We mentioned the first is texture, the second relief, and now reflection. What is reflection? It's the setting for the material's reflection amount. The higher it is, the more reflection your material will have. And note that bump and relief somewhat directly affect the reflection. Okay, we applied reflection. The next option we learn is roughness. With roughness, you determine whether the reflection you have defined is matte or glossy. If you decrease roughness, the reflection becomes completely glossy. And the more you increase it, the more matte the reflection becomes. Very easily, this property is known as roughness. We just find these archives and replace them. Lumion's library is so comprehensive and high quality that it has already done all this work itself. But if you don't like anything from the library, we can create the material ourselves. Here, the metalness option comes into play. If you don't touch this option, nothing happens. But if we increase it, the material becomes metal-like, the same as IOR, index of refraction. So you have learned the 4 properties: texture, reflection, relief, roughness, and our final and important material property is metalness, which makes the material look like metal. The more you increase it, the more metallic your material becomes. Now I'll go to the materials section, the new section, and select Standard to start the material creation process and learn how to build a material from scratch. The first thing we do is select Standard from here. If you want to create a color, find the color here. If you have a specific color in mind that you found online, if I search, most sites post colors with hashtags. Look, for example, we found this color on Pinterest with the hashtag code 93itscode. I take this, and you see that the exact color appeared here, so we can easily copy the color like this. Now if you don't want to use color and want to apply a texture, you must prepare a proper and professional PBR archive. I'm going to load a PBR archive. I'll go to the Rendisment archive, or RD text. There is a preview outside. Their quality is excellent. The same maps we need to load as PBR material properties in Corona and V-Ray. We must perform the exact same process in Lumion. So, as I say, the material creation process is nearly identical across all render engines. If you have a general understanding, you can easily perform the same process in other render engines like Lumion. I'll take a copy from here. We want to simulate brick. So my job is to replace these exact maps here. I go inside the folder, click Load Map, and paste the address. For smoother loading, you can even place these on your C drive or the main drive you are working on. Okay, now I click Load, Paste, and Open. Now it's here. I can easily apply the color as well, no problem. For now, let's apply the texture. First, I fix the map scale. I set this to 100% because we want to use the texture and we don't want this blue color from the color option interfering. Now, it's enough to move this slider up and down. See how intelligently it snaps into place. I load relief. Now it's enough to click load and load my blue colored normal map from here. I click finish. Look how good the result is. I increase the relief. I think there is a problem now. Click on the 3 dots and click the flip green channel option, meaning the orientation of the normal map should be changed. I close ray tracing. I think the bump result is good. So go and test it. Maybe we made a mistake with the flip. Yes, that's it. It shouldn't be exaggerated. The next option is roughness. For reflection, usually a separate map isn't provided. You can apply reflection manually, or you can use one of these, like glossiness. Since brick does not have high reflection, I'll use this. The only option that can deliver the final blow to this material is displacement. Since this option came to Lumion, most visualization studios have switched to Lumion. I click load now, but I don't think its displacement is as powerful as Corona or V-Ray. Now I need to find the height map from here. Why don't we have bump? Look, we have a TIFF file, a displacement map, and a height TIFF. Let me apply the height TIFF. If the displacement doesn't look right, we can convert its format to 4K. Aha! Look at the great and fantastic displacement we have here, even in the viewer. That's it. If I take a render now, I click OK. We just need to check the result in the render. Aha! Look how good it turned out. We were easily able to create our brick with very high quality. Now the intensity is too high. I don't want it to be this severe. I place a camera here. Let's close ray tracing. We will see the final result. Let me reduce it slightly. I reduce the relief a little, and displacement at 60 is enough. Don't overdo it. We have a few other options here. I won't deal with this MSC. If you want your material to be self-illuminating and emit light, you can increase emissive. For example, this is great for creating logos. Prepare its image in the diffuse map. Emissive is the same as Corona Light MTL. Its function is exactly the same. So far you see that there is no option present in another render engine that isn't here. At most there are a few randomized maps, but we have the ready ones. We also applied displacement. We don't need opacity. If you want low opacity, we decrease it from here. We will also talk about this. Opacity is also a material property. For instance, for creating tree leaves, we must use opacity, meaning we create a leaf mask, show the white areas and hide the black areas, which is not relevant here. We will use it in its own example. This also converts to subsurface scattering like skin. We won't deal with this section now. I go to the very interesting weathering section. Here you can create dirt. Look, I increase the option. See what happens. Dirt gradually appears on the edges. If we increase it even more, it is applied to the entire material. Excellent. All the material, meaning all those textures we try to work on to achieve these effects. You can bring in dirty wood, leather, silt, aluminum, gold. We shouldn't exaggerate. Each has its own place. For example, we can't use these here. I can only use silt here. I give it a little bit. The next option is adding vines, leaves, and these elements which require specialized scripts in 3ds Max, like Ivy Generator. This is its intensity, and this is the size of the leaves. What more could you want? This is also the type of leaves. If you select each one, a different leaf model appears. Offset moves their positions around. The level is adjusted by holding Shift while increasing it so it doesn't jump. So I close this too. The next option is soften edges. If you want your edges to have a chamfer, see, they thought about that too. Say I want to create a line. For instance, if you have a metallic object and you want its edges to have a very subtle chamfer and be soft, use this, but we don't want it now. Texture sharpening adjusts the overall texture density from here. Clear coat adds a separate reflection layer over it. You can separately give it a reflection level. It's a shame it's not here. I think it will be added in future versions. We'll talk about this practically later. So this is the material creation method. I reduce the reflection significantly. And from here, you can copy your material. Yes, if I click copy and paste it anywhere, this material appears. You can open a new standard material, click paste, and this material will load with the same settings. The paste button is also here. And from the menu section, you can save this globally. If I save this now, it is saved. I can go to another PC, or even if I load the scenes again and encounter an issue, I can easily edit my model, come back, quickly load this, and easily return. For example, in places where the model is not ready, you sit down, prepare materials like this, save them, and apply them as soon as the model is ready. So, this is one of its uses. Saving and loading are done from exactly here. You click load, and load the file you saved. That's it. It snaps into place. Now I click OK. Let's take a render to see if it's okay to take a main test of it. Let's come to this scene. It has already set its configurations. Look how much more realistic it became. This is the effect of these settings. I will also activate ray tracing now, and we will take a final render of it. In the render section, if you want to take just a single shot render, you specify the resolution from here. For example, it says for email, standard email size, full HD size, the desktop size we usually need. And this is the 4K size suitable for printing. And this is the poster size, which is approximately 8K. You see that it says ray tracing is currently unavailable at 8K. So I will take the single shot render for now. If you want to take a photo set, you must configure it from here, or if you want to render all of them at once, you must use this option. As soon as you select and mark them, the rendering operation happens on them. I only want to see the one selected item now. The current shot. I just click apply on this. These are the render elements. Most students who have completed rendering know that we can use these elements in the post-production stage. Look, for example, the effect of this ID map, alpha. How good. Exactly what we need. This also gives us depth of field. We can perform these calculations through this. I will save it on the desktop. I saved test 1. Now it says we can optimize the scene and make it even lighter. I say I don't need it. Do your job. And now you see that the ray tracing option, the availability of displacement and 8K normal map in the scene, and the interior effects have caused the render time, even for a single shot, to increase. That's why it threw a warning. If ray tracing was not active now, the render would have been finished. So it has this much impact. I will wait for this render to finish. Let's take one without ray tracing and compare the two to see if it's worth doing this or not. 4 seconds. The render time with ray tracing was about 3.5 minutes at 4 seconds without ray tracing. Okay, let me open it to see what the difference is that increases the render time so much. This scene has the exact same resolution and effects in both shots. This is without ray tracing and this is with ray tracing. So it's not without reason. Calculations take time. Look how much more realistic it became. It has almost affected everything. Excellent. Guys, I'll briefly go to the diff checker website. I put this here and this one here. You can easily compare them with each other inside the diff checker website. Look, I drag from this side. It is very easy. Be sure to use this website when testing renders. Lumion doesn't have a history feature to help us see exactly what happens step by step. You can use this option. I return to the material mode. Let's create another material. So you learned the general process of creating a material yourself. And it's exactly these steps. You find the archive and replace them like this. I open this scene. Let's create a material for the ground too, because they are all similar. Where is this layer of the sidewalk? I'll turn these off. This layering is useful for managing the scene easily. Now either I have to import a plane myself, or I edit one of these. I will edit this one. There is no need to import. I select this. Let's find another material from here. We want to simulate this material because it has everything. Proper displacement and bump. So I'll pick this one up too. These folders that you are constantly working on, like the training package I am recording, can be pinned. Right-click on it and select Pin from Quick Access. I go into this package's 4th session folder. I paste it here. We go inside. Now you might ask how we can use the AO map. You will learn the method. There is no direct map to apply for AO here yet, but we will explain how to use it. You need to create an alpha channel. It's not difficult. It's even easier than that. I want to use the AO map for this. The easy way is this. I find the diffuse map. I drop this diffuse map here, and now it's enough to drop the AO map exactly over it, and set this to multiply mode. See the secondary shadows added in these areas. I won't reduce its intensity. It looks good. Layer, flatten image. I press Ctrl-Shift-S, and now I can use this as the edited diffuse map. I apply a standard material to it and perform the load from here. And now instead of the plain diffuse, we apply our own edited diffuse. It says AO. I apply this. Now the color map is loaded along with the AO map. Let me fix the scale. Yes, this model approximately. I can compare it with this. See, the result is like this with AO. Without AO it loads. See how it turned out? The shadows disappeared. So, the easiest way is this. Quickly create the combination of AO and diffuse in Photoshop in less than 10 seconds. The scale is correct too. Let's bring in its bump. I bring the height map for bump. Correct. Reflection. If you want the material to be wet, you can increase this. I don't want it. I reduce it. And we also add displacement. We can use the height map for this too. We said that the higher the quality of these textures, the better our final result will be in bump and displacement operations. See, it doesn't show. I must use the TIFF file. PNG. Yes, it has the PNG. So I apply this too. Let's see if I can render with the result of its displacement. Let's add a little bit of dirt too. Very little. Let's click OK. Let's take a render of it. I go to Photo. I set a camera from among those in exterior space. Why? Because now we have to apply the effects again. It's better to use the existing ones. It just got a little dark. We can brighten its color a bit with color correction. Let me place the camera here. Let's go into this section. First, with sky, combine light and shadow a bit. I go into the material. Let's brighten its color a little. We can apply white color there and slightly reduce the texture from 100%. Very little. Aha, that's right. Why wasn't this texture 100% in the first place? Let it be 100%. There is no need for that at all. The problem was that half of it remained gray here. I fixed the scale. I think we can increase the bump and displacement a bit. I made a few small changes to it. I increased the displacement, the relief, and made it a little wetter. I want it to be glossier, as if it has been rained on. Now, the result we see here is a partial result. Look, if I can move a little closer. How good did it turn out? I said that ray tracing didn't have much impact on the exterior render, so you see that it can be effective, especially in very specific scenes. In the same way, we learned the method of loading PBR materials and using displacement, roughness, bump, relief, and other maps in this session. Let's move on to glass. I go to this section, I apply a glass material to it. Let's open it and see what its options are. The first option is color. We don't want a texture in glass either. If you wanted to apply a specific texture on it, apply it from here. And if it has relief, for glass for example, it is given this bump map by default. Usually some glasses have a slight distortion on them. It has created that exactly. The amount of reflection. If the glass has reflection, the inside is difficult to see. Look at reflection of this environment. Here it is visible. If you want reflective glass like this, increase this option. If not, reduce it, like this. By increasing this option, you seem to emphasize the intensity of your environment's reflection much more. I reduce both of them a little bit. Transparency. If you want light not to pass through it, you can close this, which we don't want to do. This double-sidedness of the glass can also be adjusted from here, the amount of its direction, the rotation of this map. But roughness is important. If this roughness is at 0, it is the clearest state. If I increase this, the reflection result is completely gone. So be careful about how you set your roughness. Roughness controls the degree of matte glossiness of this reflection. This also makes your glass hazy. How good! Everything is here. I feel like the features available here are not found anywhere else. You can even apply maps to these sections where maps can be applied. For example, if some areas should be foggy and some not, it's enough to give it a black and white map, which is also not necessary. This concludes the creation of glass. Now you might ask, what do we do about colored glass? Nothing. Come here and give it color. I want to create red glass. Just set this to 100%, meaning only our glass. Since we don't have a texture, this becomes colorless. Let's reduce this a little. See, the glass became colored. Now adjust your color live from here. The effect of double-sided is completely visible now. It became two sides. Two colors affected. Don't make the roughness too matte. Matte highly degrades the look. I close relief. I don't want our glass to have that much distortion. Now if you take a render, you see we got a very good result. Excellent. And the final result, as we said, is achieved by increasing and correctly adjusting the environment light and using the reflection option. Look, in the effects, if we use reflection, ray tracing doesn't even allow us to use these. I click this. It recognized them itself. I click OK. Look how beautiful my windows became. Fantastic. This option must be active. Excellent. So this was the glass setting. What remains is the creation of metal. These are not necessary. The metal we have in the library is excellent. Choose any metal you want. Then come and change its details according to your taste. Control the roughness, its glossiness, and so on. Metalness can also be controlled from here. So it is better for us to use these ready-made materials. Why? Because it has provided a standard material for PBR, loading textures. You can create glass with this, while you don't even need to now. You can use ready-made glasses of all types. I close this. Let me give this one of these. That rainy glass is fantastic. I reduce its relief. See, when I say give it texture, this is what I mean. Give a bump to this section, and that exact style will appear in that glass section. It has the same options. There is no new option. Now I think transparency can be effective here. Look, the glass completely steamed up with this option. So you adjust that. If you want to have steamed glass, do this. Opacity, for example, 99, 98. Roughness, if it is matte, I think it becomes more attractive. That's it. I click OK. Let's take a render. How marvelous. Excellent. So these were the material creation techniques. We proceeded very well. We have learned almost everything now. Let me see what's left. I also mentioned these. There are a few key UI sections. I will try to talk about the sections within the project. We have a series of ready-made effects that are nothing special. You just pick them up and place them like this. For example, sounds are also very easy. We will work with all of them in the animation session. That's it. In the next session, we will go to the very important movie section and animation creation. I hope this session was useful. Until the next sessions, goodbye.